I'm Rachel Morgan, a retail sales coach who works with you and your sales team in order to improve your sales performance and customer lifetime value using sales psychology and customer service techniques to help you achieve that. Today, I invited Katie Miller on here with KM Marketing Services to chat about the sales marketing dynamic, which is such an important conversation to have. And if you are not familiar with who Katie is, she is a community connector, storyteller, marketing strategist, content creator, and an owner of a business. Like truly just an impressive array of interests and backgrounds and talents. So what she focuses on is helping people create new pathways to connection by blending storytelling, style, and strategy to best serve her clients' marketing needs. She specializes in social media optimization, newsletter creation, and business growth strategies to execute successful marketing campaigns. Her expertise is truly in storytelling, combining it with a track record and successful marketing. It makes her such a valuable resource for individuals and businesses. And I can definitely attest to that as well. She truly is such a genius. So I invited her on here so that we can chat about the difference of sales and marketing, which is a really important conversation. They are entirely different skill sets, yet they do work in tandem with each other. So we definitely want to make sure that we explore that with you and help you understand that. And then whoever is here, please ask some questions. We would love to answer them for you. We all do better by learning together and collaborating, talking. So let's get Katie on here. First live. So what a really, truly special treat to have her here. And I'm so excited. So let's definitely give her a very nice, warm welcome. Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi,
Welcome.
Hi.
It did work. I'm so proud of you. And hello and good morning to everyone who's joining. We so appreciate that you're here.
Good.
So Katie.
Good morning. Yes, let's do it.
Yes. So for those who don't know, I've gotten to know Katie a little bit through the Kirkland Chamber. And while not a direct client of hers, I can definitely attest that she is quite talented and absolutely amazing, a hard worker, and really believes and has a lot of passion. So I'm so excited about this. And hello, Lori.
Hi, Lori.
Yes.
I see you.
So tell us really quickly, where are you from, Katie?
Yeah, absolutely. So I come from all over. People like to think that my parents were in the armed forces, but they were not. I just moved around a lot. So I have been in the Seattle area since 1999, which is where I came to go to UW in the theater program. And I got my BA in theater, which is a big backdrop for kind of what I do now.
Mm-hmm.
But I was born in New Orleans. I lived in Houston, and then I went to high school in Chicago. So I've been a lot of places, and it's helped shape my story. Yeah.
I'm so surprised I didn't know this about you. And we'll have to chat about this later, but my family lives in Houston. So that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love that. And I also love that you said theater. And a lot of people might think, well, how does that have anything to do with social media? But the thing is, from my experience, is that when you're in theater, you learn how to be an agile thinker and think on your feet. And that's a really important skill to develop, especially to be a business owner. And really good to work with someone that has that type of mindset as well, that can work through solutions. So I'm excited. So
you are absolutely right.
So, okay. You have so many talents. First of all, what made you start your business?
Absolutely. So I think I really when I was a stay-at-home mom, I was a stay-at-home mom since 2013, which is when I had my daughter. And coming out of the trenches of being stay-at-home all the time, I really needed to find a creative outlet for myself. And while I was a mom, I became really connected with my community. It was the only way that could keep me going. I mean, it takes a village, right? And so I became a community connector at that time because I just loved being surrounded by people who could really lift me up. And I wanted to be able to give back, but I also needed this creative outlet. And so it just sort of fell into place that the marketing piece would be what I would do next. Before I stayed home with my children, I did high-end multifamily housing. And so I did marketing for that age. And I like to say, for some of you, you have probably already heard this, but I cut my teeth on Facebook and Craigslist when they first started in 2009, 2010, where people were like, oh, we need to advertise apartments digitally now. And they were like, what is going on? There was no playbook, just like still today, were starting to write the playbook, but there was no playbook then. So I took kind of that I had learned on my way out, and then what I learned while I was, you know, mama in the trenches, and married them together, and now I'm here with my own business.
I love that. Isn't that wild to think that Craigslist and Facebook, like I remember that. It really like was not that long ago that these things were emerging. So, I mean, that's, not even 20 years ago. So,
yeah. And
but
the
anyway,
different types of templates that they had then versus like what they have now to like, and the rule, I mean, it's just mind boggling. I mean, it was not that long ago. And where are we going to be? Where are we going to be 10 years from now? Right.
I know. It's AI, right? But that's a whole completely different conversation.
For sure.
Of course. So so obviously I invited you on here because I wanted to chat with you about the difference in sales and marketing. And I don't know about you, but I often hear someone who teaches sales skills like, oh, how do I just get more foot traffic? And to me, what sales is really about, well, what marketing is it's how you attract people, and then sales is how you convert those people. And so of course they work together, but they're quite different skill sets. And so I'd imagine that you would hear that as well in the marketing world, that, you should be generating leads for me that close themselves, right? And so that would be like the perfect outcome. But the reality is they're very different. And so in your own words, like how, I know I kind of just defined it, what would you define marketing as?
Yeah. So the way that I like to think about it in my world is the service piece, right? So I like to think of a product or a business as a service. So in my business, I preach authenticity. And so this is like the only way that I can really think about selling something, is thinking I have a service that I want to share with the whole world. My service, my business, my product is going to make your life so much better. Like genuinely, that's how I feel when I start this process. And so you think about that, and the marketing piece is, how am I going to get people to my party? How am I going to teach them about my product? How am I going to share the goodness of my service to them? And when I teach my clients and even myself, when you really, truly embody and believe what it is that you're selling, then you can go out and you can start bringing the people to what you can give them, right? So I think it's about knowing about people. It's about knowing where to find people. It's about active listening to figure out what you might need to tailor to make the connection with the people. And really just making sure that you can be extrovertedly championing what it is that you have.
Right. So to me, I just kind of piggybacking on that, for those that have brick and mortar, right? In my experience is that marketing is your visual display, right? So it's your visual windows. It might be your social media, right? It would be your email marketing. So anything that you're kind of sending out to say, here's what we're about, here's what we're offering, here's a conversation, kind of drumming up some interest, right?
Yep.
And then in retail, especially, and even in the service space, right? It's when they finally come into that space, right? Yep. That's where the sales starts, right? The body language, the sales psychology, the talking about what you do, the answering the questions, that, I don't even like to say negotiation, right? Or like, it's not what it kind of is, but it's not, right? And so that's where the sales part comes in, because we've all walked into a store, saw something we loved in the window, and then the experience is horrible and we don't buy, right?
Sure.
But we still went in there to begin with. And so that to me is really like the marketing part, is like drawing people in, but then you have to market them again once they leave. So it's kind of like a cycle, right?
Yep. It's truly defining your audience. So that's a huge piece of marketing, right? Is who am I going to appeal to? And then putting it in its best foot forward, right? And the marketing piece is teeing it up. I mean, that's exactly what it is. And you cannot have baseball if you do not have a pitcher, if you don't have a pitcher and the batter doesn't hit the ball. It's the same thing. You can't sell, you can't be successful in business unless you tee it up with the marketing piece and then use the sales piece to make the home run, right?
Right. Absolutely. That's such a great, I love that metaphor. So that just made me think too that we often think we have to do marketing one way. So I know that this
Yeah.
conversation is going in a slightly different direction, but we often think if I just have my social media, that's enough marketing for me. I don't need to do anything else. It should be working in place of me, generating me leads and closing me sales. So what is your opinion on that when it comes to marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? An answer to that is it could. It really could. Like that could be if your product, if your business is something that you can easily tell the story of and set up online, that could work for you. It might not for every, I mean, so it's not cookie cutter. What's going to work for one business or one person is not what's going to work for someone else. And also it has to do with the time and attention that you're putting to that too. I think the key is no matter where you're going to go, you've got to make sure that you've put a well thought out plan in place and then you consistently execute it. So I think that I totally get that question, but I definitely think it just depends on the homework that you do ahead of time and the execution and the product that you've got as to where you're gonna,
Right.
where you're gonna want to put it.
Right. Well, and who you're trying to attract and what you're trying to sell and where that you need to be and where are they most likely to say yes or take interest at what point, right? There's a lot that goes into that, I'm sure. So this is great. I love this. It's totally it's like you knew what I was going to ask you next. But how long do you feel that a solid marketing plan should take to execute before you start seeing results?
Yeah, I saw this question and I loved it because it made me like think really, really hard. I think that when trying to put in and execute a plan, again, it's not a one size fits all situation. I think market research is really important and there's something to be said for that. So I think that's possibly something that could take a little bit of time. I think an intensive with the business owner to put the marketing plan in place is also something that could be a positive thing, whether that's a 3-hour intensive and you can bang it out because you know what you've got and you're ready to get it out there to sell it, or it's a 3-day kind of process. It really depends on what it is that your process is. So I think this is different. Right. And another piece is you could build it if you're ready to go and it's something super simple, like everybody needs this product, like a pen. At some point everybody needed a pen. Well, I could put that out on Instagram right now and everybody's needing it. So masks during COVID, that thing, I mean, that's sold like crazy. Some things are going to take a little bit longer to teach people about what they are, right? Everybody needed a mask in COVID. So you could throw up masks anywhere, Etsy, Instagram, you could sell those right away. Other things take time and relationships that you have to build to get them to the party before you can sell them. So it's a different size fits all based off of whether or not you need to educate people or whether or not it's something that they don't know about.
That is actually it's a great answer. It depends on the product. It depends on the popularity at the moment and the familiarity of it, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, for example, like masks, like everyone, it was a very trendy thing to be looking for at the time. I mean, I say trendy,
I know,
but
it
was top of mind for an example, right? And so we were all looking for it. So it was an easier sell because people understood it, what it was about. And so, there was more that went into that. Of course, what actually made people say yes to buying from a particular place versus another. Yeah. But the marketing looks a little bit different. When you're launching something that's new, that's maybe not as familiar, it's going to look a little bit different. So I think that's a really good answer and a good reminder that not every launch looks the same or not every marketing campaign. And you really have to step back and do a little bit of research on, well, what is the familiarity? What does my market know? What makes this unique? What do they need to know in order to say, there's a lot that goes into it. And that's why we work with someone like you, right? To help us better understand that.
Absolutely.
And I've certainly seen you come up with some marketing plans. So I know that you're quite well versed in that as well.
Well, so. I love, and I will say there's nothing more powerful to me than eyeballs when you're talking about trying to bring somebody to the party and trying to get them there. I think, like I was saying, I was so nervous to do this live because I can't feel that energy off of people, the real energy. And while I think social media and digital media is a great place to connect with people now, there's nothing better than physically sharing space with someone and saying, hey, this is what I've got, this is this is the
Right.
service I can provide. You can feel what they're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel, and like as they like lean in more to you, that's
Yeah.
like the whole body language thing, which I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
you talk about. And it's like, oh, now I'm going to go in for the sale. Now I've got them there. Now I'm, you know, I really do feel like that you can't reinvent the wheel on personal connection.
I love that. You're totally reading my mind. I'm like, yeah, that's body language. That's what you're reading is the nonverbal cues as a signal as to how someone's feeling. And that is the sales skill, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. Lori, you said I
I
feel your
know.
energy, Katie.
Thank
Keep
you. You're
going.
giving
All
me what
good
I
stuff.
need, the feedback.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for supporting Katie with that, Lori. That's so sweet. I love it. So, okay, this is another great point. I cannot use my words today. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay.
So what, in your opinion, do marketing skill sets look like?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I think we're really talking about the marketing and sales dynamic and how they work together and how they're different. So what is that difference?
Yeah. I think it's really understanding people and being a good researcher too. Because again, you know, you're not going to connect with everyone, but the people who you are going to connect to, it's really important that you know them in and out. So knowing the psychology of people, and knowing how they work, or at least your target audience, or bringing in other people who can help you with other target audiences, and then being able to look at data, look at numbers, and look at people and how they work and research that. I think that's really important also. I do think being an active listener is also a good marketer, because you've got to shift it sometimes. You've got to be able to shift your plan. If people don't want to come to the party, you need to figure out what you need to change. Like, does it need to be a different wine? Does it need to be a different cheese? Like, something's got to change. So I think you need to be an active listener as a good marketer also.
That's an interesting perspective, because I would say that's actually more of a sales skill, right? Especially when you're presenting, is knowing how to pivot and be agile, going back to that, right?
Yeah.
Is, okay, I hear you. Like that's kind of part of the sales process, in my opinion, when you start presenting things. But you're right, is I guess maybe the better word, what I'm thinking is like when you are marketing, is kind of observing what's happening through that marketing efforts and then pivoting as needed. And so,
no,
so
I
it's like
think
watching.
an observer is a real observer is a great thing, because you're looking at trends, right? A salesperson isn't necessarily going to like watch the trend piece. Like the marketer is going to watch the like what's working, what's not working. They're kind of seeing the overall picture of the whole thing, right? Versus the salesperson who's going to go in and really close the deal.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. So what else do you feel that we need to know when it comes to marketing and sales? Because I know you and I talk about this a lot. We're often confused for the other, or that if you do one, you should be doing the other. But again, as we've kind of discussed, that they are different focuses, right? Marketing is kind of that beginning piece on how you attract people. And then, like we've said, sales is how you lead people to that close and convert. And I would say that sales, and I know I didn't quite say this, is about the retention and the follow up. It's really the communication aspect of the interaction, right? How you talk to people and how you make people feel, right? It's the 100%. Customer service aspect. It's the customer experience part, which isn't quite through marketing, I think, in ways that you can, right? Like people resonate with your messaging. It elicits an emotional response. It can, like Disney, like I think is like a brand, right? Like people see it and they think of it and they love it, right? But there's still like a sales component that's a little different from that. So anyways, I'll let you take it from here. Or go ahead.
Part of, so like what you're saying, like, so I think part of marketing though, when you're talking about this back end, this retention part, a big part of marketing is consistency, because that builds customer trust and customer faith, which is if the marketer is setting up a trust piece, then the person going into the salesperson is already trusting the brand, right? So this is like with big brands, and that's why marketing is really important, because if you're consistent with your marketing, then you're giving your potential customers a trust. So I know I'm going to get this, right? When I go to these stores, I might shop here because I know I'm always going to get this, because the marketing piece is showing me that this is the experience that I'm going to get. So I think that that's a really big that as far as that retention goes, that's the piece that marketing plays in that, is it says, hey, here's what you're going to get, and we're really going to show you this is
Right.
true, right? And then when they walk in the store or meet the person in person or start developing a relationship online, the sales part of it then follows
Right.
through with what the marketing piece has put in place.
Mm.
Do you agree with that?
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. I think, if we're talking about online service providers, which many of you are that are listening, it's the same with your content, right? Like the vibe, the feeling, the energy that you're putting out, the words that you're using. So by the time someone does reach out to you, right, is it the same experience that they're getting through your content, through your marketing, through your email? Are you talking the same way? Is it eliciting the same responses and feelings, right? So I think that's actually a really great point, right? And that's how they support each other. And I feel like that almost goes into branding a little bit too. Like they all kind of go hand in hand. But I love that you just said that so beautifully. Like I don't think I could have said that better. So that was well said, Katie.
Yes, of course. Sorry, I lost you there for a quick second, but
Oh,
I'm back. We're good.
didn't even notice.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
I love it. Okay. Well, what else do we need to know about marketing and sales?
I don't know. I think we wanted to come on and do this today because a lot of people, I think for me at least, one of the reasons why I was like, hey, let's talk about this is that a lot of people like lump them in as one thing. And for me, the biggest takeaway for today is to know that if you want to be truly successful in your business, know that if you're like, oh, I'm going to work on marketing and sales today. Well, that's not one thing. You're not going to go, when you're going to go focus on your business and you're like, I'm going to go work on marketing and sales and like my plan, that's two different plans you're working on. So if you're saying that you're going to go do that, you're doing a disservice to your business because you're not separating them out. So it's like, today I'm going to work on my marketing plan. And then this afternoon, or like this morning, I'm going to work marketing. This afternoon, I'm going to work on sales. Not like I'm going to go work on marketing and sales together, because they both have these like different pieces to them. And so if you hit those different pieces, then you're really giving your business that much more attention and love that it needs to be cultivated, for best success.
That's a wonderful point. And to add to that, I would say when you are trying to sell something, it's good to sit down and think about your end goal, right?
Yeah.
What do I need to do to market this? Is it having some like nurturing content, or however you want to make your content on social media? Do I need to send out some emails? Do I need to make graphics? Think about it in the marketing. And then once you have that done, it's like, now how am I going to sell it? And what does that look like? That might be personal reach outs. It might be sending, like following up with people. It might be touching base. Like to me, like sales is just the one-on-one interaction at this point, right?
Yeah.
And so I think like, okay, so my fine jewelry days, we had a promotion, right? I'm going to put on social media. We're going to send out the emails. We're going to make the little postcard handouts, right? We're going to have the visual displays in our windows. And then on the other side, I need to make sure my team is up to speed, right? Do they know what's going to happen? Are they aware? And then we need to create our reach out list, and then we need to start reaching out to them, right? But that is a very different skill set. And then by the time you're reaching out, do you know what you're going to say? Do you know how to answer those things? That's where the scripting comes in, which I'm personally actually not a fan of. I think that things should be a little unscripted, but and then you got to reach out, and then by the time like they come in, right, you're going to have some more marketing, some more messaging that they're going to recognize and see and know about, and you're probably going to go back and you remind them, hey, this is happening, like through email, through content, or maybe you're texting them a graphic, right? Like it kind of goes back and forth.
It's like, but it's also the macro and the micro, right? So it's like we were saying, it's like the big picture to tee it up, and then like the micro comes in. I agree with you on scripting. Like, again, my thing is authenticity. And if you've got a script, it's hard. If you've got a good salesperson, they've got to go off script, because you can't write the connection into the script, right? Like you can't write that piece in there. So you've got to be able to go off script there. But yeah, no, I agree with that 100%.
Right. And it is an effort, right? And so then you have to plan for that, and so it does help when you sit down and you're like, okay, here's what I need to do, and then realistically look at when you can get those things done, or maybe ask for some help, right? Because it takes time to market, it takes time to sell, right? And maybe depending on your business, you're doing sales calls, right? And so that's a whole nother thing you have to set up now, and then think about how you're going to go into that and what that conversation looks like, and then probably some follow-up after the sales call as well, right? And then you got to go
Absolutely.
back to marketing. So they just they go back and forth, but you're absolutely right. Is like, you should have your set time for marketing, your set time for sales.
Yeah.
And they, like, again, they work together, but they're very different skills and very different actions that require different time and focus.
Absolutely. So that's the key, is just separating them out when you're doing your planning, and making sure that you're giving the attention to each one that they deserve.
Yeah, I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. See, you're doing so great. I love this for your first live.
It's awesome.
Okay.
I can talk about it all day, but we have no more time.
I know. Well, Katie, any last thoughts you want to leave people about sales and marketing? I know that
I love it.
kind of just did, but yeah, there's always more to say, right?
There's
So any last
always
thoughts,
more,
any
but I
big
think,
takeaway
yeah,
or action step?
I think the action step, honestly, would be right after this call is sit down and say, what is the one thing you want to focus on in your marketing plan and the one thing to focus on your sales plan. Don't make it any more complicated than that. Next week, you can do another task if you want, but just think about it for right now. Just start with one piece.
I love that. And I think that we get so focused on doing 10 things that we never get the one thing done. So if you're like, I have one thing I'm going to do, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And then I would say, from a sales perspective, if you are trying to sell something right now, literally go reach out to one person, or like pay attention to who's liking your post or viewing your story, or who's opening your emails, and then go reach out one-on-one.
Yes.
Because I can tell you, that's great, but you really don't start converting until you have those one-on-one conversations with people, those personal reach outs. So if you are like, well, I have the marketing and that's been my focus, but I don't know what my sales should look like, go look at who's consistently liking your posts or in your DMs or looking at your email, and go reach out to them and just say, hey, how are you? Kind of
100%. Doesn't even have to be about what you're selling. Just spark up a conversation. Yeah.
Yep. I love it. Well, Katie, how can people get to know more about you if they're like, you know what, Katie made me realize I need some help with my marketing. Yeah. So how can they find you?
Well, you can follow me on Instagram. You can check out my website. One of the things I did touch on here was, like, when we were talking about a marketing plan, is like where you need to show up. And it just so happens that there's an event on Friday that I'm doing that's posted on my Instagram, where I'm doing like a speed dating one-on-one thing. And the piece of knowledge that I'm giving people is for where they can show up and like where their marketing plans might need to be, whether it's digital or in the community, it's paper, anything like that. So that's with Eastside Entrepreneurs. And so I thought, oh, I'll plug that because I'm there and you can come for free and get some information from me, just like one-on-one speed dating, and I'll be there. So I'm available all day, 24 hours, 7 days a week. I shouldn't be, but I am. So just reach out.
We all are as business owners, but I love this. This is actually a really exciting opportunity and a chance to meet you in person. So if you're local to Seattle area, I know Katie would love your support to show up there. I know I want to know more information, because who doesn't want to learn more about marketing or just refine, right? You're going to add a perspective that perhaps I wasn't ever considering, right? Or thinking about, and that's the powerful thing, is with that, when you work together, you learn together and you come up with really cool new creative ideas. So I love that. I love that. And if you want to learn more about sales, of course, I'm hosting a workshop next week on Monday.
Exciting.
I'm so excited. And we're going to be going through start to finish, like how to start engaging with people, how to convert them, and then even how to follow up. And so we know I'm all about sales psychology, which you and I can completely nerd out about. So better understanding body language, things like that as well. So, but definitely if you're listening, go follow Katie. She's a wealth of knowledge. I highly respect her. Everything that she has to say, I'm like, this was so good. So
thank you.
Definitely an amazing person to have in your circle, to learn from, to work with. So go follow her, and hopefully we'll see you at her workshop on Friday.
Thanks, Rachel. This was so fun. I did my first live.
Yay. And then if anything, go reach out to her and congratulate her on her first live. So
I can't wait to meet you guys. Yeah. Yes. Thanks, Rachel. Okay.
Thank you, Katie.
Bye.
Yay. I'm so happy to see that really quick, Corey. She said, thank you. I'm feeling very hopeful about my business. So yay.
It's awesome.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay. Bye. Thank you, everyone. Bye.